Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Art of Senior Fitness Program Design. I'm sorry I'm late. A little bit of technical difficulties behind the scenes here. I love when things decide that they're needing to be re-logged back in and you don't know what the password is because you never have to put the password in. So we're going to get started. We did have a bit of a time change, so we are starting today at 12 Eastern, 10 Mountain, 9 Pacific. So let's make sure we are live on all the platforms. Make sure you guys can hear me. And then I've got a topic I'm really excited about today. I know I'm excited about every topic, but we'll make sure that so we're going to get starting. Okay, so I can see your comments coming in. All right, everyone. So let's jump right into it. This is the Art of Senior Fitness Program Design. This is episode 18. So welcome, everyone. And today we are talking about coaching and class etiquette. So if you work in fitness or in senior living, or if you support someone who works in fitness or recreation, you definitely want to stick around for today's episode. And if you can't, that's okay. They are all available on the Stronger You Senior Fitness LinkedIn and Facebook pages, as well as on our new YouTube channel as well. So you can go ahead and take a look at that later if you can't stick around. So I love this topic because coaching and class etiquette, if you've ever come into a really great fitness class, usually the coaching and the class etiquette is what sets apart the seasoned professional instructor versus that person who's just starting out. So I know you've probably, even if not in a fitness setting, I'm sure it's something you've experienced before when you know someone is really confident and comfortable at what they're doing. And then when you kind of see those kind of cracks, you can see they're not maybe as confident or comfortable. So today I want to give you some tips and tricks to just make everything professional and top notch. And even if you're not a seasoned fitness vet, some things you can start to do in order for it to appear that way. So let's get right into it. So number one, we're going to start with class etiquette. I know I put coaching and class etiquette, it just sounded better, but we're going to start with class etiquette. So number one, you have to be prepared, and you have to be prepared with great class content. So especially when you're new, this is going to take you some time to do. It's going to take you some time to prep for your class, to envision it out, to even have a backup plan, so to speak, as well, because generally some hiccups will happen. Like today when I was logging on and it asked me for my password. What's my password? You got to have a backup plan or a way to adjust or pivot should things not go your way. So that's number one, be prepared. So even before you get to the location, to your class, you need to be prepared. Number two is setup. Have an idea of your mind of what your setup is going to be. And if you're going to a new location, you want to ensure they have the right equipment that you're going to need. So what is the sound system? What kind of equipment do they have? Do they have chairs with arms or armless? You might have a choreography plan where you need arms on your chairs and you get there and there's no arms. So you might need to, again, pivot or adjust if you were to incorporate that, encounter that. As well, making sure the space is set the way you like. So maybe you come in, the chairs are in a circle, but do you want them in a circle or do you want them in rows? Personally, I am a big fan of rows and mirror teaching. So these are all things that you have to take into account when you're going to be teaching a class. And then, of course, you want to greet your participants. So always get to your class at least 10, if not 15 minutes early. Number one, you might have new members who need to sign paperwork, and that's going to take time. So you want to allow a buffer for you to be able to assist those individuals. You want to say hello. You want to get people set up. This is where it's really great if you're doing a strength class. You can help people to pick the right weights and bands, hand out water, check in with everyone, see how everyone's doing. You really don't want to just be popping down right at 9:59 for a 10 o'clock class. You want to have that time to build that relationship with your participants, get to know their names, ask them how their week's been. These little things really go a long way. And then, of course, when you're teaching the actual class, there's going to be the actual coaching. And we're going to talk about that in depth in a moment. So we'll come back to that. And then, of course, at the end of your class, when you end your class, you want to thank your participants for coming, thank them for doing a great job, make them feel really happy. If you're going to offer water or a snack at the end of the class, let them know that that's available. Let them know when the next class is going to be as well, because you want them to come back. So let them know, hey, I'm teaching again tomorrow at 10 o'clock or teaching Friday at 10 o'clock, whatever it might be. And always ask for feedback. Now, this is tricky. If I don't run out of time today, I'm going to talk about asking for feedback at the end. Asking for feedback, especially as a new instructor and even as a seasoned instructor, is so important. But if you're going to ask for feedback, then you have to be sure you're ready to hear that feedback. I've seen it time and time again, and I've probably been on the opposite end of it, where you go to give someone feedback and immediately they go into defense mode and tell you all the reasons why your feedback is wrong, or why they thought they were doing it the right way. So if you're going to ask for feedback, sometimes in the moment, right, feedback we're hoping comes from a great place. We hope it's coming from an individual who cares about you and wants you to succeed and wants to give you their opinion. But sometimes it's not always going to be from that individual. So, you may want to just say, thank you so much for your feedback. Let me take that away, and I'm going to think about it for next class. And simply just saying thank you and giving them that answer is really, really great, because it's going to make that person feel like it was okay for them to tell you the feedback that they have. I'm sure you've had it happen where you gave feedback, they went into defense mode, and you said to yourself, I'm never going to give that person feedback ever again, right? You're like God written to them. They can to do without my feedback and continue on their way. And then that person may never come back to your class, which is definitely not what you want. So listen to the feedback, thank them for it, and see, can I take anything from this feedback? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Okay. And then last but not least, cleaning up the space. And this is going to be more important as we enter the post-COVID world, where we are starting to see provinces and cities reopening and allowing for larger group sizes and allowing for things like fitness classes to be happening. But we want to make sure we're cleaning the chairs, we're cleaning the equipment. So this again is part of arriving early. You might want to arrive early to clean the equipment pre and post class. You would hope the previous instructor, if there was someone else who was using the equipment, would do that for you. And a best practice, of course, going forward would be for any organization you're working for to have a cleaning checklist. If you can have a checklist that you can check off and say, I taught on Friday at 10 o'clock and I cleaned the weights at 10:30, perfect. That person coming in on Monday morning is going to know, okay, great, these weights were cleaned. But I think best practice would be for you to worry about the safety of your participants and to just clean the weights and the chairs and things. It doesn't take too long. Wipe everything down and then start the class. And of course, you're seeing the chairs post-COVID world. Probably we're going to have to maintain those 6 feet of distance. So we're probably not seeing chairs or space setups that are this close together. Okay. And as always, if you have questions, guys, feel free, throw it down in the comments. I'll read it out so people on LinkedIn or Facebook, vice versa, can hear your question. So I'd also love to know what's working really well for you. All right, now the components for successful group fitness coaching and cueing. So like I said, this is where you can really tell someone who's been teaching a while versus someone who might be a little bit new. I hear it all of the time when I'm training with new instructors. They're like, Emily, I've got the moves down, but how do I talk at the same time? I'm so in my brain, I'm thinking about the content, and I'm having trouble with the speaking part. So yes, that part is really, really hard at the beginning. But if you have a plan and you know your choreography, you know your music, that coaching and cueing piece is going to be so much easier. So this is where it goes back. You need to prep in advance. You need to know what you're doing, because that's going to help you do that coaching and cueing. And I'll say, anytime I'm learning new choreography and teaching new choreography, any instructor, no matter how long they've been teaching, I've been teaching over 15 years now, and that first class, I will typically mess up. I'm typically going to bobble. I'm typically going to be in my head a little bit more. But by the second, the third, the fourth time teaching that same choreography, it's, you know, it's totally muscle memory, and I'm blabbing away. For anyone who's taken my classes, they know this about me. Okay. Now, the next really important key to successful coaching is advanced cueing, okay? Again, this is what I feel really sets apart the seasoned instructors from new instructors, is being able to anticipate changes in the movement. So I want to go through this with you right now. I'm going to kind of put down my camera here. I'm going to back up so you can follow along with me. It's opposite. There we go. Okay, so I want to just do an example of a march. So let's say I'm with my class. I'm doing a march. Okay, we're going along, we're marching away. Your participants want to feel successful. So what you might say is, all right, everyone, great job with your march. The next move we're going to be doing is we're going to touch our opposite hand to our opposite knee. Here we go. And opposite hand to opposite knee. Okay, so that way the class is prepared to join me for the move. All right, now imagine this. You're in a class, you're marching along. Touch your knee, okay? People are not going to be able to follow along with you, and you know, I said it really fast, so people might not even have heard what I was saying. So advanced cueing is really, really important, and I recommend always cueing 4 to 8 counts ahead of that new move. Okay, so what are 4 to 8 counts? So when you're doing a pre-choreographed format like Stronger You Senior Fitness, everything is in counts. So 8 counts would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so those would be your cues. And if you listen to a song, the counts go towards the music. So typically when we have a change in the music, we have a change in the moves. Let's say for the bridge, we're doing a move. And then for the choreography, we're doing another move, and so on and so forth. So that's really important. And so you might be marching along, and then you might be saying, all right, next move, bicep curl. And then you'd go into the bicep curl. Okay, so for 4 counts, next move, bicep curl. So that's 4 counts. You don't have to be so robotic, but I'm trying to use an example for you. So next move, bicep curl. Awesome. Okay. And then for an 8 count, you could add in a little bit more information. So you could tell them how long or how many reps you're going to do the move for. So for 8 counts, it would be something like, next we'll do a bicep curl. Oh, that was still 4. So next we'll do a bicep curl. Here we go. Okay, so that's more like 8 counts. Awesome. Now, I can see on my screen that I'm starting to go into what's called the yellow and the red zone for people who go live, back into the green zone, which means you should probably be able to hear me. I will put up the recording though if this recording doesn't turn out, or sorry, this live video doesn't turn out quite right. So I apologize for that. The internet must be going in and out a little bit there, but we should be okay. I'm back in the green zone. Now, what are the stages of coaching a new move? So there are many, many stages. And so when I see a new instructor teaching and I see them just saying, okay, bicep curl, and they're going 1, 2, 3, I'm always thinking, oh gosh, like you have so much information that you can tell them if you weren't just counting along with the move. So number 1, these are kind of the stages I would go in order to coach a new move. So you're going to advance cue. You're going to say, all right, next move, bicep curl. So the next move, we're going to take our arm down by our side and bring it back up, down and up. Very good, everyone. We're going to do this for 8 counts. So I would tell them how many we're going to do, but I'm not going to count. I don't need to count it because I'm going to give them so much more information. For example, put my camera down a little bit here. I might want to tell them, put the arm down by your side and bring the hand up to the shoulder. Weight towards your leg, weight towards your shoulder. Very good. Now, you should be feeling this in your bicep. Do you feel it in your bicep? So I've gone on to the next one there. You want to let them know where they should feel it. An example of why that's really important is when you look at someone doing a move, sometimes you can't always tell what the goal is of that move. Sometimes you think, oh, this is a leg move or an arm move, and it could be an abdominal move. So for example, if you were doing an isometric abdominal contraction, the opposite hand on your knee, and you tell your participants to lift up their knee and press down with their hands. You should be feeling this move in your abdominals. Do you feel this move in your abdominals? These are the types of things you want to say to your class. Because if you find they're arching their back and they're pushing with their leg and they're not doing the right thing, then they're not getting the right benefits from the move. So it is really important that you ask and you ensure that your participants are doing it right. If they're all going no, you might want to stop the class, really break down that move and have them do it appropriately. Give them a few more coaching. For example, you might say, okay, everyone, let's make sure we feel this in our abdominals. Take your ribs, bring them towards your hips, contract, and that contraction is going to put our knee to our hands, okay? So that's an example of why you want to tell them where they should be feeling the exercise. So just to recap before I go to the next slide here, what is the move? So we're going to do a bicep curl. We're going to do it 8 times. How should the move be done? Bring it down by your side. Bring the palm up to your shoulder. Where should we be feeling this exercise? In our biceps, in the front of our arm, in our abdominals, wherever that move might be. You want to reiterate where they should be feeling that exercise, okay? Now, few more things that you want to coach. So you can see how when I coach, I do a lot of talking because there is a lot of information to give. So after we've kind of gone through those basics of the new exercise, then you want to go into some other things. So what is the benefit of this move? Why are we doing it? Well, we're doing this bicep curl so that way we can lift these heavy groceries or lift the heavy shopping bags when we finally get out back into the world to do some real shopping. Okay, we want to tell them what the benefit is. Is it falls prevention? Is it good posture? And the longer you teach your class, you actually want to be able to quiz them and say, you know, for example, hey everyone, what is this move good for? And they say, fall prevention, right? Could you imagine? That's great. They have that really, they're really wanting to do that move because they know the benefit, they know why it's good for them. And then the next one here, what is the style of the movement? So maybe not so much for something like a bicep curl because there's, you know, not much style. And maybe you say, you know, move your arm like you're a robot. But for a cardio class or a dance class, you know, for example, the girl in the picture, she's kind of bringing her arm across her head. So you might say to someone, pretend you're a matador holding a cape and, you know, wish it across from side to side. Or, you know, maybe it's a really funky move, right? And you tell them to kind of take a little fun with it and have a little bit of style. Or maybe it's a Latin move and you tell them to have a little bit of fun with the shoulders or the hips, right? So again, these are all the things that build. And then last but not least, you want to encourage and motivate them. You just gave them all this information. They're thinking about how to implement everything you're talking about. And you definitely want to then say, great job, guys. You know, maybe you look better than I'm sure it feels like, right? Because some people might think, oh my God, I probably look terrible right now. But if you can kind of make them feel good about what they're doing, then that's going to be great. All right. So to recap here, let's go through the bicep curl again. So, all right, everyone, we're going to do 8 bicep curls. Take your hand down by your side. Let's bring it up to the shoulder. Down and up to the shoulder. Very good. You should be feeling this in your bicep. Is everyone feeling it in their bicep? We need to do this move so we can make sure that we pick up those heavy grocery or shopping bags next week on the shopping trip. Everyone, you're looking so good. Keep it up. Okay? So that's an example of what we did, maybe 8 repetitions, and we were, I was giving them all this information while I was doing the class. So again, if you've taken someone's class and they've been really fantastic, usually they're the instructor who gives you all these whys for the program. Okay. One more note about encouragement and motivation. I used to be notorious for this when it was my early days of instructing. Have a repertoire of encouragements. So funny story, I'm certified in over 8 different formats. Some of those formats to be certified, I had to send in a video. And of course, you film the video and you send it in and you watch it first. And I remember watching some of my early videos I had to send in, and I would say, fantastic, fantastic, everyone. fantastic. And I don't know if it was because I was nervous. I was probably just trying to fill the space, right? But I just kept saying fantastic. So after that, I thought, oh my God, I didn't even realize I was saying fantastic over and over and over again. So you want to have a repertoire. You want to have in your mind, okay, I'm going to say fantastic, and then great, and then awesome job, and then well done, and then you can start from the top. So especially when you're new, you do have to pay attention to that a little bit, or else you end up saying the same thing over and over, and you won't notice it, but your participants will. And if you see them having some grins when you're saying a certain motivational cue, that could be the reason why. Okay. All right, now we've talked about what we say, but how we say it is just as important. So number one, especially because this series focuses on what you should do when teaching older adults, you need to really pay attention to these items, because as we age, there is more likely that you're going to have individuals in your class that have hearing impairment or are maybe losing their hearing. So number one, you need to enunciate, okay? This is something that, if you're not used to talking to a big group, you're not used to being in front of a room, that you may feel uncomfortable with. You might be a mumbler, or you might feel shy, so you kind of keep your mouth a little bit more closed, but you really do need to enunciate as you participate. Okay, I'm over exaggerating right now. You don't have to move your mouth around all crazy, but it is important to really say the words you're trying to say. The next thing is speed, okay? Again, you've joined me before, you know I do tend to talk fast, but when I'm teaching, I do slow it down. I make sure people know what I'm trying to say. All right, everyone, next we're gonna do a bicep curl, okay? You need to make sure that you're going at a speed that's not too fast. And for me, talking at a regular pace might actually feel slow. So that's another time when it's really good to ask for feedback. Say, hey, was I talking too fast today? Or for you to film yourself and to watch and be like, wow, I was just motor mouthing it up there. Okay. Next thing is pitch. This is especially important for the ladies. So, ladies, when we tend to talk louder, we tend to have our pitch go higher, okay? And I have known some instructors who, when they yell, the pitch gets high, and it's a bit like nails on a chalkboard. So you do need to be careful of this, especially for ladies. You actually need to pull in a lower tone of voice. And a higher tone of voice is actually harder to hear than a lower tone of voice. So little trick, if you're having trouble being heard in meetings, try speaking in a lower tone of voice, and you'll actually be listened to a little bit more, because it is difficult for our brains to pick up really high-pitched voices. And also, it's not good for your vocal cords. The other thing you need to think about, and this is kind of in relation to pitch, is that you are projecting from your breath. So as you're breathing out, you're using that breath in order to project your breath. If you're speaking from your vocal cord box, which is what we do when we're just kind of talking like so, you can actually get vocal nodules. And I've had instructor friends who have had vocal nodules, and then they can't talk or they can't coach for a certain period of time, depending on the severity of those nodules rather. So really, really important for your safety that you do breathe to do your coaching. And I would say invest in a microphone, okay? Not everyone thinks, oh, I don't need a microphone, but you do. Everyone can benefit from a microphone, because you don't want to get those vocal nodules, okay? So if you have the choice, microphone and no microphone, I know people feel weird about talking into a microphone, but certainly if you do, your participants are going to be able to hear you. You're not going to be able to strain your voice, and it's going to be a much better experience for all. You can get really affordable microphones on Amazon and other various providers. So definitely, I would say take a look at a microphone option. And the next is contrast. So this is what makes it really interesting when someone is talking to you, okay? So you can just see I kind of went all over the place there with my contrast in my voice. So, when it's a really exciting part of the choreography, maybe you're talking really fast, great job guys, here we go. You've got that excitement in your voice. And then when you're teaching a new move, maybe you're really strong and solid, and you've got that low voice. All right, everyone, our next move is going to be a bicep curl. Take your hand down by your side, bring your hand up to your shoulder. Okay, so you see the difference between when it's a new move and I'm really focused and giving direction, and once we've got it, it's a little bit more excitable. And even going as far as going down to a whisper. All right, guys, really tiny march. All right, let's march a little bit bigger, and great job, right? So you can kind of play around with the contrast, and it makes it really fun for your participants as well. Now, coaching corrections. This is going to be my last topic for today. I'll save my final slide. I know you're going to see it, but I won't talk about it today because I don't want to rush through, is coaching corrections. This is really important because this is how you keep your participants safe. So number one, you want to be positive with all the corrections you give. Instead of telling participants what they shouldn't be doing, tell them what they should be doing. So for example, you use positive. So bring your arm out to the front, palm down, okay? Don't say to them, don't put your palm up, right? Because if you tell them don't put your palm up, they're like, okay, well, what do I do? So always use a positive correction. Bring your palm down, okay? Extend your fingers out. So, you wouldn't say don't clench your fist, you would say relax your hands, okay? And you want to give the recommendation to the whole group. So let's say you see a participant and they're doing it wrong. Maybe they got their palm facing the wrong way. Instead of saying, hey, Joe, flip your hand over, you could say, everyone, make sure your palm is towards the floor. And then hopefully Joe would see that and say, oh, oops, I've got my hand the wrong way. And then there might have been some other people in the class who you didn't see were doing it incorrectly. And then they are able to do it correctly as a result. If that's still not working, let's say Joe's really not getting the drift of what you're trying to say to him, make eye contact, okay? So looking over at Joe, make sure you've got your palm down. So I still didn't say Joe's name, but I made eye contact. So, maybe he was off in La La Land thinking about what he's got to do for the afternoon, but making that eye contact, they look at their hand and go, oh yeah, I've got my hand the wrong way, okay? And then, of course, you want to reinforce with praise. So after someone does the right thing, they move their body the right way, you do want to say, great job, everyone. That was amazing. You fixed that. If someone didn't fix it and they're doing something unsafe, safety is priority. So I would say, keep going, everyone. And I'd go over and I'd help Joe. Maybe I'd say, hey, Joe, turn your hand this way. And I would maybe be a little bit more specific. But you're going to know who in your class that you can call out and say, hey, Joe, put your hand down. And who would feel okay with that and welcome that, and who would feel embarrassed by that. That's something you don't want to do, is you don't want to embarrass someone in your class. If it's a matter of safety, you definitely want to make sure you make the correction. If it's just a matter of like, it's supposed to be more jazzy up here and then he's down here, then, that's not the end of the world, right? They can do whatever they want for that. All right, wonderful, everyone. So thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, if you just joined halfway and you want to watch the replay, or if it's been stuttering a little bit, I'll make sure I put up the recording that I've been taking during this. If you loved today's episode, please share it on your social media channels so you can share it with your friends and colleagues. And don't forget to like Stronger You Senior Fitness on Facebook and LinkedIn. All the episodes, all 18 of them, are on our YouTube channel, Stronger You Senior Fitness, so feel free to head there to watch the other episodes. All right, everyone, have a great day, stay safe, and we will see you again. Thank you so much, everyone.